Yeah, that looks okay. Right. What we got? What's going on? Yeah. Okay, you ready? Okay, you good to go?
Okay, being 6 o'clock, we'll call meeting to order. First order of business is the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and I will kick it right over to the county commissioner for the caucus.
Thank you. I'm Robert Cezak, County Commissioner for District 1, which is Fairfield and Norridgewock. Tonight, we are going to caucus for the Budget Committee membership. And that term is for 3 years. So now at this point, I was first of all, I just to make sure that I got the names of all the municipal officers and municipal officials that are here.
No one is going to be there.
Not right now.
I asked him to-
He's sick.
He's not
So I guess I've got everybody then.
Yeah.
Thank you. So at this time, I will ask for nominations. Your nomination.
This isn't like regular budget. This is.
I'm interested if anyone wants to nominate me, yeah.
Our election is Monday.
This is for the county.
This is the County Budget Committee.
Well, next week there'll be different selectmen maybe.
The county asked the body.
Did
It
you
has,
nominate him?
I did.
I'll second that.
thank you.
That's Jim Wyman,
James.
James, okay, thank you.
L-Y-M-E.
Yeah, LY. And Norridgewock. Is there any other?
Yeah, you got the best of us for that one.
Okay. Being that there's no other nominations, we can take a vote on Mr. Wyman. All in favor?
You're allowed to vote for yourself, I think.
So can I vote for myself?
Oh, all right. Yeah, you can vote.
You just did.
Okay. But unanimous.
You won, Jim. You won. Yay. Would you like some more snacks?
Yeah, really. Until my wife, folks.
She knows.
Okay, this is the first. Grab this stuff and thank you very much. Congratulations.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, yeah. Our budget, I guess the workshop for this, so the commissioners, it will be Wednesday morning.
Okay.
Public hearing, you're welcome to come.
Perfect.
No problem with that. All right.
Thank you very much.
You are. Thank you. Pleasure to see everybody.
Thank you.
We're ready back.
Okay. Item number 4, review and approve the minutes of February 15th. So
Second.
motion is second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody. Members reports, I'll start with Charlotte.
No, but can't you do something about this weather?
Yeah. Too nice.
No, nothing.
Yeah. And I don't have anything, so we'll go right to the town manager's report.
Town meeting is on Monday, March 6th. That's next Monday. The town office will be closed in order to staff that. Your polling hours are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and your open meeting begins at 7:30. The Boston Post cane holder, Mrs. Spooner, passed away this last week. So in the coming weeks, we'll be looking to identify the next eligible cane holder. Right now, I have a resident that will turn 100 this fall. So if you know anybody that's remotely close to that, please forward any of those names to the town office so we can add them to the list and or consider them for presentation. The high school is doing a community service project this spring in April. And we're looking for projects, whether public or private. It could be on somebody that's physically unable to stack wood or something to that effect. Laundry, winter cleanup, painting, and they're going to come in for the day and volunteer. So if you have projects, whether they're town or organization associated, please reach out, let me know, and we can send those up to the school. And then also a business or organization that might be willing to sponsor the students. Could be providing lunch for them or financially supporting their work, purchasing supplies and things like that for whatever projects. Please reach out to me with that as well. The hang road is at the airport after the gloomy report at the last meeting, that has shifted very well. And so we're getting excise tax revenue in, we're getting airplane disclosures and whatnot. So making good progress with all of that. If they have any questions about that, declaring aircraft or paying excise, that's going to be Amy out front. We were able to get over to Main Laboratories after the last meeting here on Main Street. That's in Dr. Baker's old office. Brandy Meisner from the Chamber of Commerce came and got to see what they have for an operation and what their plans are to ramp up with good growth. So the day that we went, they still were not authorized testing facility for the state of Maine. Since then, that has changed, and they're expecting their volume is going to kick up very nicely. So that's encouraging. And then also a couple days after we had left, they started with their press boom, and that was in the newspaper on a lot of television stations about it being the first and only PFAS testing facility in the state of Maine. So we like that positive news for the community. The boiler at the fire station, it says continues to provide issues. That's now been clarified to say it blew up yesterday. And so we'll take that up under other business if that would be acceptable to the board. And then on Public Works, sewer, we have equipment on our vehicles to track them. It tracks speed, excessive acceleration, rapid braking, things like that. The software and technology that we use right now is being phased out. So they've offered us, I'll say a comparable, but it's really an upgraded service there at a reduced cost on the month. So it will allow us to cover all the equipment and vehicles that we cover right now. But an additional offering under that program is dash cam. So they offer outward facing and inward facing. They can be set with alerts or whatnot. Right now, only outward facing, so you're able to see what's going on from that vehicle, whether it's mailboxes or people, equipment, things like that, as a risk management tool.
Does that reduce our insurance premiums? Like if that's something that's submitted to the insurance company, can we get a break on that?
So that's a question. I'm assuming that it will benefit us as a part of our safety portfolio that I have to review with them every year. Even if it doesn't, if it keeps us at break even, I think that's a move in the right direction when you talk purely from a safety and a safety perspective, really. So, we get calls on mailboxes all the time, whether or not it's legitimate or not. You can't really tell. You're all playing after the fact. It's going to be easy enough to be able to pull that up and say, oh, no, we definitely swerved into that mailbox. Or otherwise. I don't think that our folks are doing that, but it's nice to be able to guard against that. The greatest value in the software is this time of the year when, Lynch called and said, well, they haven't touched the road in 3 hours. Well, Miss Lynch, give me just 1 minute.
No, we don't have by the
I
way.
know,
No.
sorry. No, my first is- and-
That's a state road, not town road.
We follow the road.
Yeah.
But to be able to say, no, a crew just went by 45 minutes ago, and by the way, it's expected within 15 minutes, you'll see that truck go by. Huge value. Managing concerns from residents, so
What's the recording mechanism?
it's all cloud-based.
Okay. So you have access to that, so it's nothing you can adjust in the truck then?
That's correct, yeah, and there is an upstart, the conversion fee, I think it's gonna cost us $600 or $700 to get all the equipment taken out and put in, and to have that done by Verizon. Okay. That's it. No, I will also take the opportunity on Public Works, to thank them for what they've been doing. We don't give them that much attention all the time, but you've got almost an entire department that's employed of Norridgewock residents, and they've been doing a phenomenal job. I've been getting phone calls from people all around about what are you doing to your roads in Norridgewock? And the hours that they're putting in. This last storm was miserable. I'm hoping they cut out a little early today, but from Joe right on down to Rodney, Willis, Jeff, and Jeffrey, and is that everybody? My part-timers too. They've been working their tail off, and yes, they're making a little bit of money, but all of it, except for Joe, who's been here for 30 some odd years, Norridgewock residents. So, when we get to town meeting on Monday, I think it's important that we're investing locally in our own people to do the jobs that need to be done. So thank you to them.
Thank you. All right, discussion action on March 1st, general warrant.
I move to approve general warrant number 5 in the amount of $62,974.63.
Second,
Motion second, any further discussion on that?
Are we still about on track for the same amount of salt that we've been getting? I know that the cost is like 30% higher, but are we kind of at the same rate that we were going through it last year?
Volume, we're one shy of where we were. We were on par last meeting. We're talking right now about bringing in sand from stockpile, and so that's gonna serve points.
Okay, all right. That's my only question.
All in favor? And that's everybody.
Public comment. Anything out there? Oh, okay.
They're like,
Famous spot. Number 9 there, discussion action on proposed cable franchise agreement between the town of Norridgewock and Somerset Telephone Company. DBA TDS.
So PDS have reached out, they are looking to begin offering cable services under a new program to our region, which necessitates them negotiating a franchise agreement with us. They sent me boilerplate language, which is, it's consistent with what we have in the existing one with charter. And so there are a few soft things in that boilerplate that I wanted to firm up. So in your packet, I had included a red line version of what they had proposed versus what we're able to negotiate, and that was to guarantee 5% of their base fee. Whereas they had up to 5%. They also had the cable coverage. You get one free building for cable that's on TDS. So we put that here. Small things like that we're able to build in, and ultimately 5% is what's max allowed by statute. So we're able to shore that up, and I think it's a good deal, and I would recommend that you sign it.
so, the law has changed about being able to, have a contract with more than one company.
Correct. They're non-exclusive franchise agreements now.
So now we were looking at this build out Beach Hill and a couple other places that charter had kind of like a clock on the whole process.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to make sure we don't get into a situation again where we've got one or two companies that restrict other companies from coming in for a fair market situation.
So this is strictly cable television. It's not gonna do internet. And your Beach Hill build out, I mean, it may offer that service, but your Beach Hill build out now has two. You've got charter and consolidated going head to head. So you can build out Beach Hill first.
Excellent.
so why doesn't it offer the internet, just cable?
Well, they've been offering internet for a long time. I had it with
TDS, yeah, we have TDS.
On Tim passed away.
That's what we have here. Go to the fire station, they have a spectrum.
Okay,
Just depends on where you are in town.
okay,
It's all a part, this I think you're gonna find is a part of broadband expansion. And
okay.
it's gonna be something that gets paired with that because this is a streaming cable.
So this does, in your opinion, this doesn't restrict other companies from coming in? And
No.
franchise agreement, if we have like 10 companies that want to come in, it doesn't exclude anyone?
Like if I'm guessing they're gonna have to run lines and stuff like that, if they have like a certain expenditure, do they expect a certain amount of like exclusivity or anything like that, or no?
No, and I was just trying to see if I can find a quick line here, right, it's on page 2 of the agreement, grant a franchise non-exclusive price.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I would entertain the motion.
Right, I move that we sign the agreement as stated.
I'll second that.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's everybody. Yeah, this will be- Okay, all right, number 10 here, discussion action on resident petition to pave Bigelow Road.
All right, just before I got here, you folks were in the process of reconstructing Bigelow Hill Road. That road was designed and built for pavement. And on a resident petition, the board did not pave the road. At the time, it was discussed about losing the country of law, speed, safety, things like that were concerns. Last week, I had an informal petition in the same way that the previous petition was submitted informally. that petition was submitted to pave the Big Willow Hill Road. So I provided that to you at the request of the chair. I also did get the 2014 petition. They informed the board of the residents' will that they did not want it done. A lot of those the same names after, almost 10 years, they figured out that country alert is great, but you also have gusty windows and no clotheslines in mud season. And in no fault of others. A lot of those, right? So it's really up to you as to how you want to handle it. You're not legally required to do anything with it because it's not a legal petition. But it is a sentiment of a majority of residents on Bigelow Hill.
What would have to be done to the road to make it ready for the beginning?
I think you're looking at gravel, putting just a little bit of gravel up, building it back up. The road was reconstructed to be paved, the same way Walker Road was.
Yeah.
Before that. We did that last year, so it's possible. Yep.
For me, it's just an immediate kick to the road committee. I mean, we don't pick which roads we pay. No, we never have. So. For me, base. Enough of them, right, have put this petition together to make us send it over to the road committee. We're not making us, but I mean, there's enough there, so there's right. Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, looking at this, I've spoken to a couple of people who live on the road, and like you say, it's been 8 or 10 years. The people that I've spoken to, well, one of the two weren't original petition signatures, and right after we decided not to pave it, they came in and said, nobody checked.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be somebody. So, as you recall, right after they rebuilt that road, the surface gravel was slimy and vehicles were getting muddy, and it never really has settled down to be what they thought would be a really wonderful paved road. So I'm certainly in favor of sending this forward to the road committee to try to prioritize how they're gonna deal with that. So.
I agree with you.
Because this is. Well, how long do you think that road is? On this Walker Road? Right, so that 10-year delay is a
Look how much money we saved.
pretty significant. Price goes.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that's gotta be double a $2-3 million chunk of road. Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean.
Half.
half that, but I mean, my God.
And what was Walker Road, 6?
It was under half.
Yeah, I was like 5. I was 480. Yeah, so same road, right?
I think so, ballpark.
Yeah, I think it would be in that, whatever.
Yeah, I think it would be,
We can speculate all day.
yes, send it to the rec committee, but also too, it seems, even just from like the limited swatch of people that you talk to, that some people are getting asked about this, some people aren't. So do we really have like a real sense of what the feeling of all the people? Maybe there's something we can do that something goes out like, so we can get a better like barometer as to like, if there are 75 houses on that road, let's get a letter to all 75 of those houses to see where they're at, because, this obviously isn't everyone.
You're probably looking at 75 to 80% of owners.
And they've decided that they want it, or what's the highlight then? What's,
The highlight of the people that were against it before.
and now they want it?
Yes.
Okay.
And some of the ones who signed the first one also signed the other one, so they've had a change of heart.
Right.
And I think originally we did do certified mail, everybody was given.
I remember a large group of people here and they weren't happy.
Yes, yeah.
Forks and torches, like, why do we have to pay our
Yeah, like,
money?
if you have like a certain like, feel of like your home, like, I totally get where they're coming from, but.
But I mean, the theory that the road committee is looking at is, paved is better, it's less maintenance, less calcium, less greater time, less everything. And that road's ready to go. So, I mean, to me,
It seems as though it was speed. Right, that was the main reason they didn't want that road paved. Was speed.
It was country allure. Was the word, the phrase that kept coming up.
I think I should cricket that, sure.
Letters and in the minutes.
I got the sense that because of the truck traffic, the heavy truck traffic out there, that they wanted to maintain it as gravel. So you didn't have that
Right, it is,
paved.
right, because if you live on it, you can drive it posted, yes.
So anyway, Okay,
Huh, yeah,
motion to send it to the, so moved.
Second.
There we go. Okay. All those in favor? All right, that's everybody.
All right. Discussion item on proposed revisions to town of Norridgewock Board of Selectmen rules of procedure.
So in the course of developing a new member handbook for the select board, I sent that draft one out to you guys to get some feedback. Charlotte came and had kind of flagged me to, should we include the code of ethics and what else should we include? So that brought code of ethics, which is your next item, to the front of my plate in terms of looking at it and seeing if it needs to be updated. This came with it at the same time. So this is pretty much the rules that you operate under. A lot of the changes in here is, it aligns with statute. It becomes a more gender neutral, if you will. It gets rid of citations that are time related, if you will, in terms of publication. The meeting adjournment, that mandatory it starts at 6 o'clock. Meeting start time is 6 o'clock unless voted by a majority of the board. It gives you a little bit more latitude in terms of board operations. And then you get down a little bit further with mailboxes. Sorry, I didn't know when I ripped your mailboxes off the walls when we were painting, but we've created an alternate area for you. You also get your materials electronically on Fridays instead of me having to send you your hard copies, which is technically the way it was supposed to be before. Your ethics, that is brief over here in this section because it was duplicated in the code of ethics where it seemed more appropriate. So doing these together, I was comfortable putting that in there. And so that's really the most of it. There also was that adjustment about the quorum where it had this caveat at section 7, where I just cleaned it up and said 3 members of the 5 board shall constitute a quorum. It seemed much simpler.
Make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Welcome to second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I took an opportunity to look at it. There's nothing substantive in here. It's basically housekeeping and I think it cleans it up nicely. So we're certainly in favor of it.
Okay. All those in favor? That's everybody. All right, okay, discussion action on proposed revisions to administrative code of ethics.
All right, the code of ethics has those same updates to align with statute. There are also a few citations within that did not align. One of the things when we talk about immediate family, that's going to broaden the obligation of the board for conflict. When you look at immediate family, I've drafted it to extend to domestic partners, significant others, children, stepchildren, grandchildren, step-grandchildren, parents, step-parents, or any other individual residing in the household. Those are common things that we see right now in terms of what's considered a household. And it doesn't seem like much of a stretch to say that that would be a conflict when we're looking at decisions. This policy, this for reference spells out conflicts of interest and how one is declared or contended to be a conflict of interest, how that gets disposed of. It talks about your obligation to disclosure every spring. You and your immediate family, how much you contract or wages or whatnot. We prepare that for you. You have to sign off and verify that. There were also a few adjustments in this because this is an old one. It was developed in 13 and in 2013 and has not been amended since. And there's a reference to taking it to Superior Court. There's a reference to the city in here. Separability and the adoption factor. Those are all things that are in an ordinance, not a policy. So I think this was a cut and paste initially, which had good bones, but isn't relevant. I mean, if you're going to violate, unless we have a recall ordinance, if you're going to violate the code of ethics, they're really going to be sent to by the board, probably the front page of the newspaper. So we don't have the ability to take you to Superior Court to exhaust a violation of the code. So I recommend excluding that. Make it something that we can actually look at as a whole document that is consistent in all enforceable way that it's presented.
Question, do we need a motion on this before we can?
Get the Robert's rules, something right, exactly.
We probably have some homework. Make a motion, we approve just to start a conversation.
I'll second.
Motion a second, any further discussion?
So on household members, conflict of interest. We talked about mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, niece, nephew living in the household. Is that in here or is that just an ad for
No, that
immediate family?
is in the definition of immediate family.
Okay, I mean, the issue that I see, I guess, is that, you know, if my 19-year-old moves out of the house next door. Still my child, you know, still a conflict of interest if, you know, that were to come forward. I don't know if anybody else has that same concern or not, but, you know. Immediate family members, if you're listing all these people that they need to be residing in your household, that's a big house, so.
Doesn't matter what they live inside your house or not, right?
Yeah, it's conflict of interest and conflict of interest, if they related to
It
you.
includes all of these people, all of those relations that are listed off,
Got it?
and or any other individual. So it might be a best friend.
Right.
For the purposes of this, if I drafted it, that best friend is gonna be considered your immediate.
Sure, but that doesn't tie it to the household. I'm just trying to scan down through this.
It's under section 2.
Yeah.
Definition of immediate family.
Gotcha, thank you.
Well, then, under section 9 and D, the avoidance of the appearance of conflict. So before, if there's been any sort of conflict, you sort of recuse yourself from voting on it, but you didn't have to leave the room or not take part in any of the conversations. So is that different now? Like, is that?
I believe that's the way it always.
You can.
If there's an appearance of conflict, customarily somebody would disclose that, you know, people might see that. I'll use you for an example, but not,
I just remember when there was like the junkyard thing that was like near-ish to,
rewarding contract for Lynch Restaurant. Well, Lynch Restaurant isn't related to you. So you can say there might be a perception that there's conflict of interest here, but there is no relation to Lynch Restaurant. Say it's Lynch Landscaping and they're gonna award a contract.
yeah, no.
If that gets disclosed, the board can then say, well, you can say, I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yep.
Or the board, or you can call for a vote. You can, you know, can I sit in on this vote?
Yeah. Well, I know that I recused myself because our property didn't abut that one with like that, but I knew that I was biased with that one. But I still stayed here. Like in the future, would you have to leave if that was?
You would stay there and you're allowed to discuss, but you're not.
But this says we don't, like it said, an individual may immediately remove themselves. Yeah,
If you abstain from conversation and you abstain from vote with reason. But if you believe that there's a legitimate conflict, you declare the conflict and you step away and you go over there. Imagine executive
So
session
you just have to go over there, sit, and then you could discuss.
as a member of the public with disclosed conflict.
okay.
Okay, yeah.
But you have to go,
You gotta
All right,
move seats.
okay.
imagine that the executive session makes it cleaner.
Yeah.
So it's confidential and you have a conflict.
Right.
You have to be where the public is, which is not there. It's up.
Okay,
Okay, right.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify that because I know that we hadn't exactly done it that way before, so.
Very rare that you get a physical move, but
Yeah.
if the room was full and it was something that was a little bit more contentious,
Mhm.
They would probably ask you to move.
Okay.
Just to avoid that division.
Good thing you're on wheels. You tell you to get out.
Take a spin over? Okay. Okay.
Anything else on this? Second, right, so all those in favor? It's everybody.
I have one more question. Do you have anything on this for like some of our other boards, like planning board or anything like that? And if we don't, should we?
So the planning board is an elected board. It's
So
a,
this,
yes, and these are rules that you impose on yourself. If you don't want this, you can throw it out.
okay. That seems shady, but.
The planning board has their own, and, you know, we could, after election, say. You know, we'd like each board and committee to consider their own guidelines.
Okay.
That's, well, yes, go ahead.
Having been on the planning board, I know one of the rules in Charlotte about this is you cannot talk to one another outside of the meeting, and it's very strict, and Richard's also done this with the library. But this, it sounds like you're even encouraged to seek out each other and talk, or am I reading it incorrectly?
Maybe 2 can, but not 3. So if you have enough for a quorum, which would be like if 3 of the 5 were together, if we got together essentially and came up with a plan, then you can control the vote, but I don't know if it necessarily tells us to do it,
That
just.
would be during the meeting. I mean, it reads like it would be outside of the meeting as part of the preparation in advance. Two of you could get together with the town manager and meet.
Is that just the chair and the vice chair though? Is it not like that?
We don't even do that.
Are you looking at a particular section?
I'm looking at something I got online.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I have the decisions of it.
The only thing about like, maybe
Yeah.
I got rid of the three.
There was a discussion in about like, your preparation for meetings and that you're getting your research and
Mhm.
your,
Right.
yeah. It would be like your planning board materials that you got your application waste management, you're going to aggressively investigate. That, and but everybody's provided with that.
Mhm.
That's another thing. If you give me a letter that says this is what I've got, the whole board is
Yeah.
provided for that communication
Oh, nice.
as a part of their printed material. I want to say.
This is section 4,
Oh,
under rules of procedure. Yeah.
oh, the other part.
It's like for public notice, it is not legally divided, or when quorum requirements cannot be met. But it will offer appropriate public notice, even without a quorum present. That's not. No official business may be conducted. Unintended meetings, when a quorum of municipal officials discuss town business in public or private setting by telephone or other meetings, online meeting or other means without adequate public notice shall be unacceptable. In session 4.
I brought that restriction out.
Sure.
Oh, this is, it's in the Administrative Code of Ethics, section 1, Declaration of Policies, 3rd paragraph. And this was the ethics number 10 that was pulled out of the rules of procedure. It was in 2 places, and now it's in section 1 of the Administrative Code of Ethics, where it says they make a diligent effort to remain open-minded and receptive. It goes on to say individual members from the contrived scheme or bar votes prior to any meeting in order for the democratic process to continue unfettered. Board members shall examine issues thoroughly in advance so far as possible. They will solicit and share information with each other and the town manager and permit the public board discussion to determine the votes they will make, recognizing the need for negotiation and compromise on some occasions. If you think that that's outside of the meeting, yeah, I could get that, but it's intended to be in the meetings. That you'll.
Definitely sounds like you're encouraged to be outside. It sounds like you're encouraged to do that. I'm only questioning because the planning board is definitely not. It save a lot of time sometimes if you could talk outside.
But this is not intended to be outside meetings. This is intended to be in the meetings where you will make a diligent effort and. Where does it start? You examine the issues thoroughly in advance, so far as possible, and then they'll solicit and share information with each other and the town manager. That to me is an open meeting. And permit the public board discussions to determine the votes they will make. So all of that will be in public. In order to determine the votes. The idea is that it's like a court, what's being offered for evidence is being offered for evidence and considered by everybody in the process.
So you would never let 2 selectmen come in and meet with the town manager without the other selectmen present?
I said, no, we could. I don't know if I've ever had 2 selectmen in my office at the same time. Ever. I mean, it's rare I have one.
And then if you did meet, would you have to share that?
No. I mean, if it was relevant or germane to an agenda item, like say it was this and Matt and Jim and I met about this. To say, what do you have for constructive feedback for me before we take it to the full board? That would obviously be something that was noted in the record. But
Or if we brought different information, like to the table, then that would then have to be distributed to everybody else or something like
Right,
that.
so well, I went to the city of Waterville and I
Yep.
did their ethics, and they had this really nice paragraph and I like. The goal is for you to bring that and then we distribute it to the full board.
Okay.
Ideally, you get it to me before, so I can put it in your packet.
So I guess it goes back to then, why doesn't the planning board and the library board, those boards review theirs? And be allowed to talk to each other?
Because this is not intended to allow people to talk outside of the meeting. This is intended for people to examine the issues thoroughly. And bring what they have to offer to the meeting. Not for people to go out and for Lindsay to talk to Jim to say, how are we gonna figure this out? Or to deliberate on any issue, the deliberation is all public.
I'm comfortable with it after hearing it a few times, but I'm. Because again, even as two, we're not allowed to discuss town business outside.
You are, but it's not proper.
Right.
3 is absolutely not, because it's more.
And 2 is just bad taste, so right.
Correct.
I guess unfortunately, I don't know you guys outside. So I don't know, I've never been in
Yeah.
that situation. But okay. Anything else on that? All right, I think we've technically already voted on them. So we're good. And then we're left with other business. Does anybody have anything for other business after stuff?
We've got 2 things. The first would be for you to consider adding discussion action on signing the quick claim deed to the agenda.
So
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor? Everybody?
This would be motion to sign and release the town's tax acquired interest in property identified on town tax maps as map 28 lot 37. That's 17 Wade Street.
Yeah.
To Bluebird Properties LLC, the owner from whom the property was taken. That was paid in full this afternoon.
Good.
excellent.
And a year ahead of taxes.
Really?
Oh, awesome. I like that. So I move that we release the town's
Interest.
interest in the property on Wade Street.
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Is everybody?
The next request is to add discussion action on spending authorization from fire department reserve account.
Oh, that's for the truck chassis? No. Oh, for what now?
This is for the furnace that was on the truck chassis.
Sweet nuggets.
I make a motion to add that to the agenda.
Motion and a
Second.
second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Is everybody?
So. With everything going on at the fire department, this is. A 7-8-year-old boiler that. When we have contractors doing the work on it, they say, where did you get this? What is it? Where do you get parts for this? Who's worked on this in the past? And yesterday it. Had an internal explosion. And so.
I'm gonna suppose you get the fire department.
Speaking to fire officers earlier today and then later again this afternoon. The request from the department is to seek an authorization for spending. To purchase and install a new boiler at the fire department. The ballpark figure of realistic amount would be 10,000. To do that, but we don't want to tie our hands given the kind of sensitivity of it. And the season. And so my request to you. With upfront disclosure that we're not up to spend nearly half of that would be to authorize the expenses up to $20,000 for the fire building reserve account. For the purpose and installation of a new boiler.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so. A 7-year-old boiler that we probably paid 10 for. Warranty,
No,
nothing.
Can we make sure the next one we get has one? Because that seems like a pretty short life.
So I don't know that's in the year one.
That, but that's, should we look at a residential one then? Because it lasts longer.
the other disclaimer is that we put 3 or 4 grand into this last year and after negotiating, heavily negotiating numbers. With this.
Yeah, just
And we
last-
report every month was back.
So what,
Average back up.
so the boiler. Forced hot water heat. Why do we have a boiler there? Radiant floor heat?
Is that a necessity there or cool to have?
Yeah, it's very much a necessity now, right? I mean, it's there.
Make electric ones.
Right? I think probably, right, it was an oversight on our part. As a board, because we did originally look at those.
Oops, sorry, Charlotte.
You know, it's not a peer list that's sitting in the air, it's not a bossy, it's some name you never heard of, parts you can't get, Right,
Mm.
fault line right here, and stuff you miss in that packet of stuff that, you know, really didn't.
Did our engineer miss that or did we?
Yeah, you know, you can't blame it, because at the end of the day, right, it's.
So it's general contractor.
Right. Yes, it did, but it's unfortunate, but really, we're always in that boat where our older discussion, we shell out, you know, big seats, and make sure we get it right this time. Which is unfortunate, but yeah, with 7-year-old furnace, say you're
Yeah,
gonna
that
scrap.
seems crazy, yeah.
Yeah. But it's tough, right? It's like we put 4,000 into it, and what are we gonna do that again? And yeah, it's unfortunate. So. Right, so. Blank motion to
And we're gonna authorize the expense of up to 20.
up to 20.
And as soon as we have a bid tag, if you will, we'll get that out to you. Yeah.
Okay.
And include it in a future record.
I was just, wow.
Can't just have another heat pump, like, I'll keep it toasty, right? Like, and that's $5,000, that feels like
Yeah.
a better bargain. We can put it near the floor, so it warms up the floor.
I'll ask for the lifetime warranty.
I've been in my house 20 years in the same furnace, let's see, 2 years ago, it split in half and it was covered. Thanks for coming here, right?
Insurance, is there insurance on something like that?
Terms and conditions, all right. Station services.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine.
Boy, we keep putting a short straw on that.
Yes. So,
I mean, it feels like it's fire,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that could be exciting.
I'll take a motion on that.
I'm great.
We have a motion.
Yeah.
We have motion
Yeah.
second. Okay. That's it. All right, so all those in favor? Excellent. Anything else?
do we know what their building reserve looks like with the soffit and the fascia, that's all coming out of that too?
So the fascia was, the new chief worked with someone to get that done to under $2,000, the section that we want to get done.
Nice.
And then, so we're looking at 75, I think, right now, and 85, hopefully next week.
Excellent. I got one other business.
Fire away.
So my other businesses, I just want to thank everyone. It's my last meeting. It's been, we've had fun together. We've had not so much fun working together. We've had no. No, we didn't drive it all early on. It was a scan of the audience. It wasn't directed at you. No, I think we've done some pretty decent work. You know. It's important to remember that we're not always gonna be on the same page, nor could we all be on the same page. And that's what government's all about. So. Biggest concern moving forward for you as a group is budgets. I mean, everything is going up. It's crazy. Everything's gonna be going up, you know? So just gotta keep an eye on that, and the people who live in town appreciate their stable tax base. We're very fortunate to have a couple of industries in town that offset that tax base for us, but that's not always gonna be here. Oh, there's gonna be a day when it's not here, and you know, as we build this up. Point where we can't sustain it, oh, we may be able to, but just. I'll be watching from the outside. Anyway, thank you, appreciate it, Richard, I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
Kelly,
Yeah,
Thank
you'll be
you.
missed for
I
sure.
appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. What's my last official day here, because then I'll be really unemployed, so.
That would be Monday.
What?
Well, the meeting returns. And you get receipt of the taxes as well.
So, yeah.
Is that paid?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, I'm not unemployed. Nice. Shoot.
Don't spend it all. on
Gotcha. Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, you'll be missed.
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Only one thing left.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, motion and a second, any further discussion? See none, all those in favor?
Awesome.